Welcome to the M2 Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Hensey. My co-host right here is Kyle Heath. This is the show where we're going to be covering esports and personalities, new and upcoming games, and technology innovation, also mixed with a little bit of gaming industry-related news. And as you guys can see, if you're watching the video, we're repping some Carolina NFL merch. That's because it's NFL weekend. And yes, we watch more than just esports on this show. But we're not going to cover it. We're going to stick to gaming. So, Kyle, what have you been up to this week, man?
Not too much, man. I mean, you already know what I've been up to. I'll be honest. I don't really got to say anything to you, but gotta inform the audience.
Yeah, of course.
Little game called Starfield came out. I've been copiumed up for the past month.
It looks good though. See,
yeah, I
my
mean,
copium's up now too.
I'm gonna be honest. Going like I can probably talk about it a little bit later. But just like it, like initially going into it. I mean, and understandably, I was very much cautiously optimistic. I know I prefaced that probably multiple times too throughout the months as we've kind of led up to it, because we just don't know what Bethesda, right? Like, especially since Fallout 76, it's like they got to regain that trust, So I was like as we got closer, I was getting more and more optimistic because I was kind of seeing like, okay, like I like what I'm hearing, but it's like one of those things until we hear those reviews, we don't really know. So I had a vacation from work. It just so happened to land on the pre-order early access time period. And like, as much as like I want to say I planned for that, I honestly like didn't. I was just thinking like, oh, this would be a good weekend because like, I'll just get to chill out, kind of go into Labor Day and kind of, get some extra time. But I was like, oh, it worked out. So like leading into my vacation, kind of going to that, I started like seeing the reviews and started hearing the kind of rumblings. And for the most part, it was kind of like, this game's pretty good. It's not super buggy, which is kind of uncommon for Bethesda releases. Like it's definitely like more polished than usual. And I was like hearing good stuff. So then at that moment, I was like, all right, that's it. And I pre-ordered it, played it the night it came out, on Game Pass, best deal in games. And
It really is.
I mean, dude, yeah, I just have to say after, gosh, like 32 plus hours, I think, at like 33, 34, maybe something like that. Dude, it's honestly, it's the happiest I've been playing an RPG in a very long time. Like I have to say,
Dude,
it's
nice.
very and now I also have to say, it is a Bethesda RPG for better and for worse. So just for anyone looking for an RPG, if you're looking to play it, just go into it with that in mind. It is on Game Pass though, so if you have Game Pass, it's an easy download, right?
Yes, sir.
But it's but yeah, I mean, I think it's I was very also going into it too. Like I had so much nostalgia for Fallout, and I love the Fallout universe so much. So the idea of new IP, I know initially when they announced it, like 5 years ago now or something like that. Like when they initially announced it, I was like, I don't know about new IP because like we have these established universes and they're so good already. I mean, then Fallout 76 came out, and my love for Fallout kind of dwindled a little bit with that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I mean, regardless, I mean, I remember the Fallout 4 launch. It was pretty. It wasn't bad. I mean, it was certainly there was the bugs and everything, of course. But like initially, at least on console for me, it wasn't that bad. I played with my Xbox One, but I don't know. Going into this release, like I'd like Bethesda did what they needed to and some with this game, and I think it's going to regain a lot of trust with people. And I think like now I have more confidence going into like the Elder Scrolls 6 release and whatever they decide to release next. I think they took their time with this, and it's just a very solid Bethesda RPG. And Mike, do I say it's the best Bethesda game I've ever played? I don't know if I give it that title, but it's dude. I mean, it's for a new IP. I'm very like after playing this, I'm very glad they went with a new IP and they didn't just go right back into like a Fallout or something like that, because it is its own entity. The story, I mean, it's not like I don't think it's gonna rock your socks off, but it is very much dealing with like space and the idea of multiple different galaxies and universes and dimension. Like it's very kind of like it's a lot to take in in its own. So it's kind of just like kind of have to like go into it with that mindset. But it's also kind of a good, interesting theory as to like, okay, what would happen if we all of a sudden figured out how to travel faster than the speed of light, and like how humans would kind of like discover other galaxies and how we would like kind of deal with that. So it kind of goes into that. There's obviously like social commentary into like what could be, but it's also very interesting. You visit a lot of like familiar sites and stuff like that. Like, even in the world and whatnot. I won't give too much away, but it's very much like I think it's good if you want a Bethesda RPG, if you've been wanting a good Bethesda RPG, this is definitely the one to check out. And that's all I'll say. There's a lot of good games that came out this year, Mike. And I'm by no means gonna say this is the best RPG of the year because I mean I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know if I will, but I've heard nothing but praise for Baldur's Gate 3. And honestly, like if you want to debate it, you could probably say it's more tailored like an RPG, right? Compared to something like Starfield. It's kind of a more traditional, I think, aspect of like the Dungeons and Dragons kind of RPG. So there's some debate to be had there. But I mean, I don't know, man. This is a solid like, and I just have to say, dude, the gunplay is the best of any Bethesda game they've ever released. Like it is so good,
Really,
and
dude.
there's no VATs or anything like that. There's no crutch. It is straight up like, at times it play. I think most of the time it plays like COD. Like honestly, like when in terms of gunplay, like it's solid. Like guns feel really good. Just shooting in general feels great. And yeah, dude, it's the little things like that that kind of make this game so good for me. It's like they got these little things right. There's still a little bit of that Bethesda DNA sprinkled in, like the grenades and explosions and stuff like that. It's still kind of clunky and like doesn't really. It's like I kind of wish they made the grenade stuff better because you can tell it's definitely kind of the older systems, and even the explosions have this really bad screen shake, this really disgusting looking screen shake that old Bethesda games had. Like they didn't improve that. So it's like very just kind of like eh. That's one aspect of the gunplay and everything that I'm still not a fan of because it's just they didn't like do anything with that. But they at least made the shooting and everything like a solid FPS, which is good. So yeah, man, there's a lot of good, a lot of kind of questionable. But I think, at least in my eyes, mostly good. And I don't know. I'm very satisfied with I'm very satisfied with the purchase. So that's
good.
that's all I can be happy
That's
with.
like that's really good to hear from if you're like an Xbox supporter or fan of just that entire
Yeah,
IP. Xbox has needed a new IP
that's
for a
yeah,
while, man. Like a
yeah,
long time, I think.
yeah,
So to hear that they got Starfield that they hyped up beyond all belief is
yeah,
actually an absolute hit. That's good to hear.
yeah. I mean, I
Definitely
don't
good
know.
to hear.
For me, it lived up to it, and I think for a lot of other people, it did as well. I mean, I think Metacritic last time I checked was like 88 on PC, 80 something on
Oh
Xbox.
yeah.
Like it's
I
it's in
also
high
heard
80s.
I heard it was getting absolutely review bombed though by
Yeah,
people that were upset over the dumbest thing in the world,
yeah.
like the character creation stuff. Let's not get into it,
I mean, yeah,
but
we don't have
just
to. I mean, look,
let's not get into
yeah,
it.
I mean, their character creation stuff, the UI, you could go on and on about how the UI can be trash, but I mean, there's a lot of things that could have been done better, obviously, within a game, especially any RPG, right? It's hard to get everything right. Um,
True, yeah.
but I mean,
If
from Bethesda standards, this is the best like at launch RPG they've released, probably.
that's
like
good, and
so,
you know what? Even Bethesda standards, right? One of the things that they have a standard for is updating games and making them better after launch.
it's true, yeah. Um,
Now, yeah,
yeah, I
usually
mean, yeah.
because like they've been launching broken, but
Yeah, look, I mean, the biggest thing, another thing that gets me super excited about this game is the modding potential because it's always astronomical
I've
with Bethesda
I've
games.
actually seen a couple of modding stuff already
Yeah,
that just seems wild
yeah,
and really
yeah.
cool.
I mean, dude, it's a massive game, and the opportunities for the modding community is going to be unlike anything I think ever. So that's got me really excited to see kind of what they do with that. Um, and also, I don't know, the whole thing, it has me wondering if they would do a Starfield 2. I feel like it'd be weird, but I don't know, they could make it work. I won't give too much away, but it'd be interesting to see if Bethesda actually tries to take this franchise further, or if they're just gonna stick with a single release. But I think if they just stuck with this, like I honestly, for Bethesda's sake, I kind of it's like just have a fire release and just kind of live in this moment, and then just focus on your other stuff, and maybe come back to it at some point. But yeah, I don't know, solid release, solid game, and yeah, I like in terms of rating. I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm gonna be biased, right? My rating because I just
Oh yeah,
I love the old Bethesda games, so it's kind of hard for me to be like, oh, this is a. It's hard for me to say like, this is a 10 out of 10, but like, I don't know, but it's a very solid game that I will be putting. I've already beat the main story, obviously, but I'm gonna be putting many more hours after that, the side content and kind of just exploring worlds and whatnot. So, it's got a lot of replayability for me. So, yeah, it's hard for me to like come back to a game. I feel like, especially after I've like completed it. So. Just it's that good of a game, Mike.
I'm excited for you, man. Really am because you have been hyping this up since you saw the trailer, and the trailer was literally just the logo. Bethesda Studios. And you're like, the logo's here. Oh
Starfield.
my god. So
Yeah.
excited.
But
So
yeah,
I'm
I mean,
I'm really glad you it like I just love seeing when people are so hyped up for a game and then when it finally comes out and it's actually like fulfilling the hype.
yeah.
It's
Dude, it
really
gets me
cool.
excited because it's Bethesda, and like we just
Yeah.
weren't sure, and the fact that it's actually like good, I think, is like it's just
I
I don't
hope.
know. It's got me happy, especially for Bethesda
Yeah.
and for Xbox because they needed a release like this, and I think a
They
lot of people
do.
will probably come to Game Pass and try out this game, and hopefully
Yeah.
some
It's
people will
on
stick
PC
around.
as well.
Yeah,
That's the cool thing.
yeah,
So
and it
Ultimate Game Pass done.
look. In my experience, it ran very well on PC. My only complaint is that I will hard crash from time to time, where it just straight up just kills, which I mean that sucks. But
Yeah.
overall, when I'm actually in game playing, like it's very smooth. I don't get terrible frame dips, like hardly any frame dips. Like everything is just like even on planets it's smooth and buildings it's smooth. Like I don't know, man. It's definitely an optimized game, and the only thing they need to like fix is crashing. I think, but that's about it. And even then, it's kind of not. I still get very long sessions where I don't have a crash at all. So it's a very kind of hit or miss thing. But I mean, if that's the only thing that's wrong, especially in a Bethesda game, then I'll take it.
That's nothing.
like,
That's nothing.
like,
That'll be fixed in like 2 months, maybe.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe less. Who
Hopefully,
knows?
I hope they come back and kind of polish it even more because it's it's certainly pretty good in this state. But I can only imagine what it's going to be like after a few months of kind of tender care, you know.
That's cool, man.
Hmm.
I'm excited for you.
But yeah, anyways, outside of Starfield, I don't think I've really played much else. So that was kind of
I wouldn't
30 plus,
expect you to.
30 plus hours. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, I don't know.
That's a
Other than
lot of
that,
time.
I watch some football. You know, we do sports around here, so every now and again.
That's facts. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Watched Premier League mostly, right?
yeah.
Or college.
I watched the Premier League, college football. You know, the whole thing.
Mhm.
Really, the college football is kind of like it's just kind of like to get me to the NFL. It's kind
Oh
of just
yeah.
like, you know, I mean, I'll be watching both, you know, but still, it's kind of just like it's kind of a little bit of a copium before the NFL comes back. So,
100%. Yeah. I'm in the same
uh,
boat, dude. Like, I'm kind of jealous, man, because I haven't been playing any games this week. Um, I've been just like full throttle, and you know this.
yeah,
So I was like telling Kyle behind the scenes about how I've been basically full throttle for the last month and a half. It feels like
yeah,
just constantly busy, and then got done traveling finally. So I'm like, I looked at the calendar, dude. I looked at the calendar. I'm like, oh my god, I don't have to do anything for almost like a month. And like the only thing that I have to do is the Breakaway Music Festival in Charlotte, and that's like that's my hometown. So I don't need to go anywhere. I'm just
yeah.
chilling.
Nice.
So it's like, yeah, I'm just like, okay, I gotta reset everything and get my mental right. Get like get get the sleep schedule back, get like in line with myself,
Yeah,
personally. So
yeah.
I'm doing good again. But I will say one of the games that I've been playing a little bit was Rocket League. That like I
There
don't
you
know
go.
why, man. That's like my go-to game whenever I just want to turn off my brain, which is so dumb because I immediately go into ranked. So it's like does that make sense?
The one
Like
mode where you
I
have
j-
to use your brain.
yeah, just like it's just kind of my I've been playing the game since it came out, right? So
Right.
like, I don't care about getting better, but I also wanna play competitively. So I just load up, go into ranked, and then I try, win some games, lose some games. MMRs like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, I respect it. Haven't played Rocket
Yes,
League in a
sir.
fat minute myself, so it's
Oh, that's always my, like, grab the PlayStation controller, plug it in, immediately open it up. Like,
yeah.
the easiest game ever. It's almost like I go to Rocket League now more than I do with Halo, if that makes sense.
As I say, but if you
So
want to get upset, you just throw in your controller and play cartographer, right?
oh, yeah, I'll go on Cartographer, get real mad, feel like I'm gonna throw my controller, win a couple of games, and still be upset. Like, there's nothing good that comes from it.
Oh
But dude, we've
man.
been ranting for like close to 15 minutes now. We got to get into
Man.
some articles, man.
We gotta give the people some news, right? That's the whole reason you're
Yeah,
here. So
yeah. Let's fill
yeah.
them in of what's been going on this last week.
Let's do that. Um, yeah, I'll be honest. Up front, most of it was there's a lot of Starfield articles this week. It's a big
There
release,
was a
so I understand.
ton.
But yeah, we tried to pick
Crazy.
some out that weren't related. So found some good ones though, I think. We're starting off with The Verge. You already know Monica Chin read The Verge. And we're gonna be talking about the Legion Go. This is a Could you guess another handheld, Mike? Another gaming handheld?
I'm very close to just changing the whole podcast name into the handheld reviewer.
I mean, it's just
Like,
it's crazy, man. We've
honestly,
been we've been in like a handheld renaissance this past year, and so now we're just it's like every month or something, right?
we
Um,
covered one like last week too.
yeah, it was
The
it's been
Kickstarter one,
crazy,
crowdfunder
yeah,
one.
yeah. Anyways, with the Legion Go gaming handheld, Lenovo takes aim at the ROG Ally. The 699 gaming handheld has a touchscreen, a touchpad, and detachable controllers. And a little switch here, Mike. Is that what we're looking at?
It's kind of sick.
Hey, it looks pretty cool. They have a kind of picture at the as the main kind of hero graphic picture at the front of the page. But every company and its mother seems to be putting out handheld gaming PCs these days, and Lenovo is next to the plate. The company has announced the Legion Go, its first Windows-powered gaming handheld, which will be available for purchase in October. It's got an 8.8-inch QHD Plus screen, an AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme processor, and a 49.2 watt-hour battery, which is bigger than those of the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck. And his controllers pop off, which is pretty neat. It's a Switch.
Yeah, basically, it sounds like a beefy Switch.
Sounds like it. While Valve's Steam Deck tends to be the first product that comes to mind when this category is discussed, the Legion Go seems more like a cross between a Switch and an Asus ROG Ally. For one, with models starting at $699, the Ally is clearly what Lenovo is trying to match on price. But it also, like the Ally, is running old school Windows and has more controls, a touchpad primarily, that are tailored towards an operating that system. There's a little kind of there's some pictures as well that were taken, kind of showing off some of the kind of how it looks from different views, kind of the side view of how the controller ports kind of look, as well as just some of the controller stuff itself and the touch screen, the little trackpad that they have on it, which I feel like because the Steam Deck has something similar, right? I think it's like the little kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
I think so.
If I'm not mistaken, they have kind of like a touch screen or a touchpad kind of thing.
Yeah, they have this like little. It's kind of like an old school mouse pad that you would have on a
Yeah,
laptop.
right. Yeah. With controllers attached, the Legion Go is about half a pound heavier than the ROG Ally and a bit heavier than the Steam Deck. It is noticeably different when you pick the device up. It feels heavier. That didn't particularly impact my gaming experience, and of course, Monica Chen was the one writing this. Didn't impact their gaming experience since they largely were using the device with a kickstand propping it up. Nevertheless, Monica knows this is something some potential customers will be unhappy about, particularly those who are buying a handheld for frequent travel. The case definitely feels bulkier than the other one. Monica was carrying her Switch around in, so it's noticeably heavier in that regard. The presumable upside of this extra bulk is battery life. Asus was very focused on keeping the Ally's size and weight down, and it has a smaller battery than the Go does as a result. They can imagine that plenty of people might find sacrificing some portability for extra longevity to be a very reasonable trade, especially given how unhappy many reviewers have been with the Ally's battery life. Unfortunately, Lenovo's representatives wouldn't give us a battery life estimate at the demo event, claiming they hadn't had enough time to test for it, but assured The Verge that they would have one prior to the October launch. So, kind of the standard kind of PR response, probably. In terms of other specs, the screen has a 2560 by 1600 resolution and a 144 hertz refresh rate. Inside, you get 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5X RAM. I love how long that is. Like
It's the most
LPDDR5.
engineer crap ever, dude.
And you also go on to up to 1 terabyte of storage. Ports include a 3.5 millimeter audio combo jack, a USB Type-C, a USB 4.0 display port 1.4, power delivery 3.0, and a microSD reader, as well as an additional USB Type-C. Same specs as before on the bottom. There's a lot of little some I/O here, Mike.
There's some serious stuff right there. That's awesome.
That's a nice little I/O here. The Verge, for one, was able to try a few games that were loaded on Power Wash Simulator, Quake 2, Evil West, and A Short Hike were among the selection of titles. They were running at 15 watts by default, which Verge was told was probably how the device will ship. Lenovo stressed in the demo that the Legion will be playing with the Legion they were playing with was not in its final form, and that a bunch of things, particularly Lenovo's launcher, which didn't really work during the demo, and its in-game display, and its in-game overlay, which is not operational yet, would be buttoned up before release. Um, which is very if they're saying October, that's like a month away. So need some quick turnaround times there. Um, however, it seems like the controls were all responsive throughout the various titles that were demoed, and gameplay itself was smooth without hangups or excessive fan noise. The Verge did run into one big snag, however. Many of the games they tried didn't seem to know that they were running on a handheld at multiple points in multiple games. The Verge was told press escape, which is a key in the Legion Go. The Legion Go does not have. A Lenovo representative, after some tinkering, determined that they needed to press the B button in order to actually escape that. One game kept telling them to press B0. I assume this is some kind of joystick key. However, they eventually figured out it was A on the Legion Go. This happened both when the controllers were attached and when they were in joystick mode. It seems like there's some mapping discrepancies in some of those games.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's a demo.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect it to really be optimized just yet, you know?
Yeah, it's true. And I know it's like coming up soon, so it's one
Mhm.
of those things like hopefully, I mean, with like a month of QA, they can kind of get that figured out. Um,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
yeah. Because our article goes off for a little bit, but it kind of shows off some more photos, kind of showing off the controls as they're attached, how they look separated in joystick mode. You can kind of see that. Yeah, I again very reminiscent to a Switch, which I think ultimately though I think what makes this Switch interesting and kind of what sets it apart is each controller can kind of operate on its own, right? Because it's like symmetrical,
Yeah.
so like you can use either one, kind of like that. I definitely don't see that on this. And again, obviously, it's like they're it's trying to operate as a PC first and foremost, really. So obviously, it's not like a huge concern or priority, but that is like something I noticed kind of right off the bat that the controllers aren't symmetrical, so you can't really like play like party games. But then again, you can't really play Nintendo games on PC, so I guess it's not
That's what I was gonna
a
say. It's
issue,
like
right?
Nintendo kinda has that market for,
Yeah.
like, the console handheld hybrid where you can basically just, "Oh, you wanna play? Here's a toggle for, like, the joystick or the Joy-Con," and then
Yeah.
that adds a player. And, like, those are the only buttons that you really need, which is what makes the Nintendo Switch just brilliant.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
you're
it's
not
very
gonna
true.
get that with these types of handhelds that are, like, for PC games.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, a big thing of note too in the article is that there's no desktop mode for the controls, kind of like the Ally has. Um, and it seems like the Verge was kind of saying, from kind of what they gather and what they're expecting is that if you were to navigate Windows, like the Windows interface on this device, kind of expected you to use either the touchpad on it or the touch screen itself. And it seems like they didn't have a problem doing that during the demo. But it did feel like a bit of a waste to be navigating on a kind of a tiny little trackpad when there's like a perfectly functional joystick available. So that's very interesting, and I don't know. Hopefully, they'll kind of have the joysticks operational with the operating system. So if you wanted to do other things, you certainly could. Um, I would almost feel like kind of the left joystick would be your left click, right? Just kind of click it in, then you're right. Yeah, and that intuitively it
Yeah.
goes to mine. That'd probably be ideal, but yeah. I mean, I don't know. The article certainly goes on about the device a little bit more in depth, but I mean, I think ultimately, Mike. I mean, what do you think about this? Another handheld, detachable joysticks. I guess is what they're kind of calling it. I don't know. Do you think this has a place in the handheld PC market?
I think it's late to the game, but I think it should have a place. So who's really the competition, right? I wouldn't include Nintendo Switch because I think they're gonna always have that lion share of the handheld market. But outside of that, you got the Steam Deck, right? You have the ROG Ally, which is made by Logitech. Is that correct?
I think it's Jesus. Jesus has the ROG
Asus,
brand.
but Logitech also has one.
Yeah, G Cloud.
That's
So
it, the G Cloud. And now we have Lenovo. I think out of all those brands, I think Steam Deck should be number one because that's made by Valve with
Yeah,
Steam, and they have that entire library. So that like convenience of having your own library on your device is awesome. But you can still get that really with just downloading Steam onto any of these devices. So kind of null and void, but having the name helps, which is
yeah,
what I'm leading into is like Lenovo as a brand and manufacturer of laptops is pretty top tier for businesses, like very trustworthy and
yeah,
dependable. So I think this could be going down that route as well.
yeah. I mean, you just think about the ThinkPad, Mike. You know, those Lenovo ThinkPads. A lot of companies are like they'll just buy those in
Every
bulk, and it's like you just have
yeah.
those laptops. Like, yeah, it's a huge market.
Yeah, and I also think these like the one thing to mention that might be the standalone thing is the IO ports you were talking about.
Yeah.
You got 3.5 millimeter audio combo jack. Pretty sick. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
those are really
Yeah.
underrated now. USB Type C, that should be a guarantee. But then the USB 4.0 and DisplayPort 1.4 is pretty wild
Yeah.
to have both of those. And then a Microsoft or not Microsoft, the micro SD reader. That's also underrated, man. Expandable storage stuff, like kind of stuff. It's
I mean,
pretty
yeah,
cool.
it's I mean that's what's cool about this. I think having the ability to kind of use that display port. I mean, the idea is kind of like docking, right? Like you're docking your
Yeah,
Switch kind of thing.
exactly.
It's a similar
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Lenovo is goaded with docking.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely goaded. They're so good.
Yeah.
S-
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think ultimately, like, the peak of this is going to be like, can you fit a gaming PC in this little device, and then can I use this like on? Can I hook it up to a monitor, right? And then I'm like gaming on a regular PC.
Oh yeah.
That's like the ultimate. I think that's where kind of the pinnacle of this is going to be. Like the apex is when you can like do when it's so
Oh yeah.
seamless, you can just like use it as a desktop almost, right? Or like a gaming laptop.
Yeah.
And it's just in this tiny form factor, and you can take it with you, and you don't have to. I mean, because that's the biggest thing about like if you're
Yeah.
working for a company, right? Like obviously they're going to give you a laptop primarily because like oh you can take it home or you can bring it in like that kind of thing. You
Yeah.
can work from wherever, right? That's I mean again different kind of area, but the same kind of thing goes here. You could game wherever. I think's the idea. And that's the ultimate goal. I think with these.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely imagine a world where we have something like this dot, like this system, similar to how like the Nintendo Switch is, where you just drop it in to this slot, it docks itself. But their dock is like wired controllers and a HDMI and power port to charge and stuff. But like the HDMI goes to your TV. It's only a
Yeah,
matter of time until we have a docking system strictly for gaming,
yeah,
and that's when it's gonna be goated. Have like your mouse and keyboard always plugged in on your desktop, no giant tower,
yeah,
and you just come in, drop your like $700 little like thing, whatever.
yeah.
What if you have expandable storage, like USB plugged into it, like
Mm,
an SSD plugged
yeah,
into
yeah,
3.0 or 4.0 USB
yeah,
port in the dock and automatically syncs? That'd be sick.
yeah. It's we always talk about like kind of the new like CPUs, GPUs, and whatnot. It'd
Yeah.
be sick to eventually get to a point where it's like the tech got so small and like thermodynamics and everything got figured out to a point where you could have a device like this that is better than your desktop computer. You know, like I feel like that'd be like the idea, like the ideal for like a handheld like this. Um, and this and you know being it's probably optimistic, but I feel like this could be kind of the start of that. Like this is the early kind of prototypes of what will eventually become something like that, where it's just kind of the all-in-one, take it wherever, it's your PC kind of thing, right? You can hook it up to monitors, turn it into a desktop. I think that's where I'd love to see
Yeah.
this, you know, one day.
I think we're definitely headed that direction. That just seems to be the natural progression of where we're headed. I mean, just the last what year and a half to 2 years, we keep seeing more and more games being able to play on these small little devices,
Yeah.
handheld. Like the games are becoming more optimized for that.
Oh yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
only a matter of time, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I kind of love how it's being like the smaller form factors being adopted more, and like the handheld market's back, you know, kind of thing. Because
Yeah,
it's like it seemed like it almost died off for a while because it was kind of proprietary hardware and proprietary games for that device. But now it's just like we're at a point where we could just like stick a PC in one of these, right? And all of a sudden we have
100%.
you know
Yeah,
have this form factor. So it's
yeah, but this is
it's
still
pretty
in
sick.
beta. We have plenty more time until this comes out, and I can't wait to see the side by side comparison off of like all 3 or 4 different iterations of these style handhelds.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I that's the thing is like I'm really I'm curious to see kind of whenever the dust settles on this like kind of handheld revolution, who's going to kind of maintain, who's going to be on top, kind of thing. So, and yeah,
Yeah,
I mean Lenovo joining it. Yeah, Lenovo's a big
I think
brand, so
yeah, they're no joke.
yeah,
So it's pretty cool
so
to see.
yeah, I think it'll be good. We'll see. We'll certainly see. You know what? Also, we're gonna see, Mike.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about esports. When was the last
Esports.
time we really talked about esports? It's been a while, I
It's been a
think.
while. This is a good like
Yeah,
first esports article in a minute.
yeah. Unfortunately, it's about a league that I don't really cover that much.
Yeah,
So,
same.
but we're gonna learn stuff about this one because it kind of directly affects us.
Yeah.
Definitely me for sure. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
look at us. We're both wearing Carolina gear, so this
Yeah.
works. So we're talking about the London Royal Ravens, which is a professional Call of Duty league team that is relocating to Charlotte, North Carolina from London, UK. So this article is coming from Jacob Haley, I believe. Hale. I think it's Haley, whatever. Jacob Hale at Dexerto. And essentially what it's about is how the London Royal Ravens announced a relocation ahead of CDL 2023 and 2024 season. So the London Royal Ravens, the only remaining European franchise in Call of Duty League, has officially announced it's moving to North America with a relocation to North Carolina to become the Carolina Royal Ravens. In recent years, the Ravens have failed to make much of an impact in the CDL. Lackluster performances have seen them sorry, miss out on champs and struggled to see results at land majors, and the fan base's calls for a London event have fallen on deaf ears. Earlier in the offseason, it was reported that the franchise was eyeing up a move to Charlotte, North Carolina, where parent company Rect Global was originally based, though the team was later acquired by Infinite Reality and based in California, as well as a takeover from Spanish-based organization KOI, founded by Twitch streamer Ivan Lanos.
I
I
yeah.
buy, I
That's a
buy
tough one.
Lanos.
That's one of the
Let me.
toughest ones we've had.
That's up there, dude.
uh,
What is his better known as iBuy? Jeez.
I buy.
He's a Spanish internet celebrity and personality, and he has associated with the Greg F. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
the Gref G, whatever. Remember when that guy popped off? He had something crazy, like 10 million live people watching him on Twitch
Give
or
like a
something
Fortnite
ridiculous.
skin. Maybe
Yes.
that's maybe that's the
Yeah.
one I'm thinking of too.
So, I don't know a lick of Spanish really, but that was one of the coolest live streams I've ever seen. Side
Mhm.
note. So to see he's a top streamer in that realm of Spanish speaking
Yeah.
streamers is pretty cool. So while the process was a slow one and there wasn't much further development on the matter throughout the offseason, the move was officially made official on September 5th. This week. That was yesterday, Wednesday or Tuesday, as the franchise teased a major announcement throughout the day before finally making it. Bro, before we get into the official announcement on their Twitter, how do you feel about a CDL team coming to Charlotte?
I mean, look, I think it's so funny because I feel like we talked about this like not too long ago. I'm just like, I feel like Charlotte's a prime city for it, and because I think we're already in such a it's already such a big market in other aspects of entertainment, right? And
Oh
so
yeah.
and so I think just to have a COD team here, it makes sense. I'm surprised it took this long to kind of get one over to Charlotte. I mean, and the Queen City finally get one. I mean, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for the city in general, and I think
It's gonna be
and
sick.
I the, Carolina's the closest thing I have to like anything like remotely relevant. I feel like so, at least in the sports world. So, yeah. So for esports to join that, I think it only makes sense. I don't know. I'm excited. I think it's cool to kind of have a hometown team now. So
Yeah,
it's awesome.
it's pretty sick, man. I'm on the same like front as you. I got to be honest. We talked multiple times, so I have to reiterate my position on franchise leagues. I
Yeah.
think like take it with a grain of salt, but I really don't support and like franchise leagues.
Right.
I think it diminishes competition, and I think it's just the league to make a lot of money off of people. And I also think that making a location based esports team is kind of stupid
I
when the
just
majority of your team players are like from another country
that's the
or
thing.
different state, not the area. It's an online team. It
Yeah.
should reflect that, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it works as well in esports. I agree with that aspect.
Yeah.
It just
It's
doesn't. I
really
mean,
odd.
if you want to like tie to a city, fine, but like yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, but I wouldn't expect like gamers to move to that city and like compete
Yeah.
there. You know, that's just me.
Yeah. Uh, I'll keep going a little bit further, and then I want to. Oh, there's not much to this article, believe it or not. But when we get to the end, I want to give a couple of takes about what I know about Charlotte and esports for people. Like, it'd be kind of unique, I think,
Yeah.
just because I
Okay.
know the area, I know the scene. So, anyways, let's get into it. So, Carolina Royal Ravens made it official. So on September 5th, the Royal Ravens posted to confirm that the relocation was going ahead, despite backlash faced from fans across the UK in the aftermath of the initial reports. Yeah, the UK fans are upset. I joined the Discord, they ain't happy. They're all
Hmm.
mad, but they're still staying fans, most of them. So
Oh
let's
man.
uh let's read the tweet that they made. And their video is pretty sick too. It's a raven flying from London to Charlotte. And to see my city skyline that I work in up we call it uptown because it's on a hill, but downtown, the central business district.
Hmm.
Super sick to see. Um so their official announcement on Twitter goes COD is coming to the Carolinas with a crown. We're thrilled to announce we're taking our royal wings to the Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina. The next chapter of the Royal Ravens will be fueled by the energy, culture, and resilience of the Carolinas. We want to thank all of our London fans from hosting the very first CDL major for you in 2020 to this very moment. Your passion for our team and the games we played are unrivaled. We will always be grateful for the 4 years we spent flying the flag for the UK and the support you gave us. From the United Kingdom to the Queen City, we're all Royal Ravens. Kind of sick, dude. Kind of a sick announcement.
Yeah.
I know that the UK fan base is pretty upset though. They they definitely feel neglected and ignored. They haven't had any CDL major in a very long time. And it's not just CDL, man. Like HCS pulled out of all of Europe, basically pulled out of Australia, and they're not interested in really having events over there either. I think Overwatch is also struggling. A
Oh
lot of
man.
leagues and esports are just not going to Europe anymore. I think it mostly has to do with how the funding is coming from the states, man.
Yeah.
So they're doing the events in the states, and it's easier for them to fly the teams over than to move everything over there. You know,
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of money, right? Um.
it is.
We talk about traditional sports trying to expand to Europe and stuff like that, and it's like there's more money there, obviously, so it's maybe more doable. But even then,
Mhm.
it's like from a logistics standpoint of just a time difference and like you have to adjust and
Agreed.
like just
Five
getting people
hours.
over there. It's like yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely it's a hard logistic battle to try and work out.
that's
Not
a good
even
point.
thinking about finances, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like on the East Coast, you got a 5 hour time difference to London, but then on the West Coast, USA, by the way, on the West Coast, you got an 8 hour time difference.
yeah,
That's brutal.
yeah.
And if they're in Hawaii, that's 11 hours.
I mean,
It's
yeah.
like, holy crap, bro.
Oh man.
I think it's 11 hours at least. Don't quote me on that. But the take I wanted to give is I've seen a lot of people say it's like Royal Ravens doesn't fit anymore, but it's like they don't know the history of Charlotte. They
Yeah.
think it's kind of like stupid that the Carolina Royal Ravens located in Charlotte now has a crown to still be royal. Like they changed the logo a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, you've been to Charlotte.
Yeah.
It's
It
like
is.
we have the crown
It's the
everywhere.
Queen City, and
It's
quite
the
literally,
Queen
yeah, it's
City.
everywhere. I mean,
It's
everywhere you go, you see that crown because
yeah,
it's
it's
just
like
it's what it is.
yeah, like the quick little lore for people that don't know anything about Charlotte. And I could rant about Charlotte is all the time. I love this city. I've been here for like 15 years. But it's Queen it's named after Queen Charlotte of Great Britain and Ireland, or Scotland, whatever, from like the family of Mecklenburg, which is a royal German family. And our county, the entire county of Charlotte, is Mecklenburg
Yeah,
County.
Mecklenburg.
Yeah, so it's like the whole city is based around that royalty. A lot of the teams in this area, like professional sports teams, they rep the crown. They like they call it the Queen City for a reason, you know.
Yeah,
And but going back to esports, we also have another team here. This is pretty cool. So we have another team here called the Charlotte Phoenix, and they were doing Rocket League. They had Apex for a little bit, but it seems like their most successful that they're like going all in on is iRacing. They have two professional drivers, and like they're competing at a very top level, and it's really cool because we have the headquarters for NASCAR and racing here. We have like multiple Formula One teams based around here, so it's pretty sick that this is all happening together. And like one of the cool things, man, maybe you don't know this. I don't know if I told you, but for one of the preseason like halftime games for the NFL, the Carolina Panthers, it might even been like one of the season, like actual season games. We had iRacing racing happening during the halftime.
That's
Like on
crazy.
the big projectors, they were in the center of the field
That's
on
crazy.
their whole setups. Like, and we have tons and tons of colleges in Carolina, and we have tons of esports teams at each one of these colleges and club teams. I think the CDL can really pop off here. I really do.
Yeah. This thing, like, I grew up in South Carolina. I've lived here my whole life, and it's like I feel like there was never like the Carolinas. There's not much. I feel like, especially growing up, there wasn't too much kind of like a. It wasn't too much of a reputation for the Carolinas. It's kind of just like, oh, we're just kind of another state on the east, kind of thing. But then like Charlotte, and it's like get to a point where like, and I know you joke about it all the time. South Carolina piggybacks on North Carolina, but it's kind of like
Oh,
it's.
it's true
I
though.
mean,
You know it's true. You know it's
like
true.
they're like we get the best thing we got going for us sports wise is probably college football, and that's about it. Like maybe
Oh,
baseball
dude.
too, but like
No,
college baseball, but it's all
college
college here.
football and yeah, college football and college basketball in the Carolinas is religious.
Yeah.
Like
But you
it's
see,
a religion. It's a
you
lifestyle.
guys have Duke, right? I mean, come on, like
Dude,
college
we have
basketball royalty.
Duke, UNC, Wake
Yeah, literally,
Forest,
it's like,
NC State.
yeah,
Like ECU football is pretty good, bro.
yeah.
We got tons of
Y'all,
stuff.
y'all got that locked down over there too, so it's kind of like,
Yeah.
but it's like, from a professional standpoint, it's like I have to like go to North Carolina, and there's the elitists that dog it, but like that's the closest thing I got, like
No, no,
it's
no. Like I think you should be a Carolina Hurricanes fan, Carolina Panthers fan, as you are. You
yeah,
should be.
yeah.
I'm just annoyed when I see South Carolina play. It's acting like you know how to drive in my city, and you cut me off. You don't know where you're going. Your phone's hanging up, and all I'm doing is just screaming at the wheel. Get the F out of my city! It's like
Oh man, yeah.
it's true though. You came to Charlotte. You drove in uptown. You were like, I don't know where to park, bro. And I was just like, you could have just texted me. I
Yeah,
would have
like
told you.
no idea. I'm not a city guy, What can I say?
Yeah,
Not a city boy.
I am.
Um,
But
but yeah,
hopefully,
I yeah. I think the whole like CDL coming to Charlotte, everything I think is cool. Kind of getting a little more gaming in the city. Getting a little representation for
mhm.
the Carolinas is always good. So I'm 100% in on it, and I think I'm just ready to see. Who knows? Maybe this team gets good. It sounds like they weren't the best, so maybe this team
No,
turns around.
they failed to make the playoffs. I think. Um, yeah, they just weren't competitive really the last year or so. The problem with them right now is they don't even have a roster, so they got to figure that out.
Yeah, it's
And
important.
I wonder how they're gonna do it. I hope they have some type of land center, dude. I would like to go.
Yeah,
Like
be
I've
sick.
been to the Charlotte Phoenix's like land center and all their setups. It's pretty sick.
Yeah,
There I'm kind of in touch with one of the guys to do like he created Discord for locals and I if you're interested, I'll invite you to it. For like people in the Carolinas and even Tennessee and Virginia, people close to the state that want to do like lands and they have StarCraft, CS:GO on the list and like Halo's on there, Call of Duty. I know they're
cool.
excited too.
Be cool.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sounds good. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for CDL stuff. I think
Yeah.
maybe it'll give me a reason to watch, Mike. I don't know. Like as much as like the franchise thing, we can go on and on about how franchise leagues are trash,
Yeah,
but like,
I could rip that apart easily.
but it's one of
But
those things like you're root for the hometown team if you live here, kind of thing. So
that's true. I
just
mean,
kind
I
of
gotta
what it is.
admit though, yeah, do I say it? I say it. Whatever, I'll say it. I don't like the jerseys, man. I think they're
Mm,
kind of tacky.
tough. Yeah.
Kind of tacky. But if they could do some hybrid, like alternative style, I might get it.
This
Just
is the
saying.
thing. You're in a new city. Take
Yeah.
advantage of that, of the tradition that's in Charlotte already, of color scheme, of a rebrand, like
Oh,
something like that. Give a little crown to the
black
Royal Raven.
and
Come on,
literally anything.
give a
Black,
crown
anything.
to this Raven. That's all I'm saying.
That's
Oh
actually
man,
they actually did that in their official Discord server. They
good.
changed a lot of their emotes and have one of the guys like it's a raven head, so you can see the head in
Yeah,
the image that you got. And it's like the outline, and then somebody put the Charlotte crown on top of the Ravenhead. And I was like, that's actually pretty sick.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
pretty sick.
just give me that as a badge, you know?
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
we'll rebrand. You could like stick a get like a Panthers jersey or something, just patch it right
Dude, I'm
there. Very stand out from
absolutely
the
down.
crowd.
I got a CMC jersey I might never wear again.
There you go.
Just put that up here.
Oh
Nah,
man,
I
it's
love that guy. I'll probably still wear it.
yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of cool stuff. I hope they do a rebrand. 'Cause it seems like from what you're saying too, especially it's needed. So hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see
Just a little
something.
revitalization. Like, same
Yeah.
thing, just a little reimagined, you know?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Want to talk about
Speaking of
reimagined?
reimagined. Yeah, let's go, dude.
Oh, it's interesting times, Mike. Let's just say that.
It
Um,
is.
For those that aren't aware, we all know that SAG, Screen Actors Guild, right now is currently on strike. The writer strike that's
Yep.
going on, halting a bunch of movies and TV shows. Hopefully, they get paid. You know, that's kind of the whole thing, right? Is they want to make a fair wage, which is rightfully so. They make amazing content. I think it's deserved. But it seems like there's a vote now within Screen Actors Guild to try and potentially strike video game actors as well. So I'll try to include that. Strike authorization vote comes as a union bargains over wages and protections against AI. I actually pulled this article from gamesindustry.biz, which I don't actually use a whole lot, but they have some very good stuff. So, and again, James Batchelor, editor in chief, kind of wrote this one. He said that he said SAG-AFTRA. I don't even know how to say the second part, but I hope I said it right.
Yeah.
I
think it's right.
SAG-AFTRA is calling on members to vote on whether or not the union should be given authority to declare a strike for video game actors and performers. In addition to its strike against TV and film production companies, the union is currently negotiating the terms of its interactive media agreement with a number of video game publishers, developers, and service firms. The union is calling for fair wage increases, for wage increases and protection against the unrestricted use of artificial intelligence, among other things. If members vote to authorize the strike, it does not necessarily mean that strike action will take place. Instead, as SAG-AFTRA explains on its website, it gives the union the option to initiate a strike if negotiations with video game companies fails to produce a deal that satisfies its members. SAG-AFTRA is currently preparing to bargain with 10 companies that handle voice, motion, and performance capture in video games. These companies include Activision Productions, Limelight, Disney Character Voices, Electronic Arts Productions, Epic Games, Formosa Interactive, Insomniac Games, Take-Two Productions, VoiceWorks Productions, and WB Games.
God, who didn't they go after?
I gotta stop there for a second. That's a very broad stroke, you know. It's a lot of the industry.
That's pretty much. I would say that's like 90% of the industry. I don't know who's left.
Yeah, literally under some sort of umbrella. Yeah, Audrey Cooling, a spokesperson for the video game producers that are party to the interactive media agreement, told GamesIndustry.biz, quote, "We all want a fair contract that reflects the important contributions of SAG-AFTRA represented performers in an industry that delivers world-class entertainment to billions of players around the world. We are negotiating in good faith and hope to reach a mutually beneficial deal as soon as possible. The union is asking these companies to agree to the following terms." Ready for this, Mike? Start listing them off.
All right, let's get it.
The same wage increases for video game performers as those in TV and film, 11% retroactive to the deal's expiration, a 4% in both the second and third years of the agreement. The union agrees these are necessary to account for inflation. Artificial intelligence protections around consent, control, transparency, and compensation. I think the artificial intelligence is kind of putting a linchpin in that because it's related to our next article of kind of like how AI is going to tie in with all this. And kind of an interesting thought I didn't have until I read this. Anyways, on-camera performers to be given rest periods of 5 minutes per hour, same as off-camera performers. Set medics to be present where any stunts or hazardous work is performed, as is the case in TV and film. Prohibitions against stunts on performers' self-taped auditions and protections against vocal stress. While many of these are similar issues to those discussed in the ongoing strike against TV and film production, SAG-AFTRA emphasized the interactive media agreement is a separate contract and will not have any impact on the other strike. Voting for eligible members will close at 5 p.m. PT on September 25th. The vote was unanimously approved by SAG-AFTRA's national board. Very interesting stuff, Mike. I don't know. So they seem reasonable. I don't think these are like outlandish or
No,
anything.
no, I agree with you.
Yeah,
Um,
I think.
how much do you know about the strike going on right now?
I mean, I don't know like the ins and outs and the details. I know it's been going on since beginning of May. So, and we're
Yes.
now at the beginning of September. So, I think I saw articles recently. They expect it could go as long as 6 months. If you've looked at any of the SAG strikes that have happened in the past, because this certainly isn't the first. I think it's like maybe the 10th or something. Been a lot.
There's a lot of them.
Um,
They're basically pros at this point.
yeah, I mean, I think the longest one was 6 months in the past. Typically, when a strike does happen, it's like maybe a few months at most is kind of the average, maybe 2-3 months. It's not ever really super long. However, this could set a record. This one that's currently happening. But it's something I didn't notice it necessarily until I realized like maybe a month ago that I was like, I haven't seen like Jimmy Fallon clips on YouTube in a while. Like, what's going on with that?
Right.
And then you go and see none of the late nights are taping, like and
Yep.
now we're hearing all these delays to like famous shows and stuff are going to be happening. There's going to be, it's like setting back like a year almost on some of these to try and get through production. So we're definitely going to not only seeing the effects of it immediately, but also seeing how the effects are going to kind of accumulate. It seems like, and I'll be honest, I'm not privy to kind of the results of the previous strikes, if they actually worked or not. I didn't look that far into it. I mean, all I hope is that, these people get what they're looking for because I think they deserve it. I mean, the thing about entertainment is like, it is very much, I think, because like there's some people that try to, I feel like, say entertainment isn't necessary, but like it's just not true. Like you need
Oh, no, it's definitely
entertainment.
necessary.
Like
Yeah.
it's necessary in our society. It's necessary to kind of like just keep like the general mood of the public. I feel like a lot
Yeah,
better, right?
it's a staple of a society's like culture. That's why like American culture is a real thing because
Yeah,
we just export everything through our movies, our television shows, our video games. I mean,
right.
that's our number one export is American culture.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Yeah, it's very much a necessary commodity, and
yeah.
I think if these people want to get paid, I think they have every right to want to get paid, and I think not only pay but just having like just basic decency of like, hey, let your actors get a break as well. Like I think that's
No
perfectly
kidding,
reasonable.
right?
Yeah, and it's one of those things like it's also to the argument of some people like people wondering why like editors and post production crew don't get paid like around the same as like an actor or something like that. But it's
Yeah.
like then you understand real fast they have nothing to edit if the actors don't act. So it's like you got to think about
Yeah.
it kind of like that. It's like they have nothing to. I mean, like obviously, like people off camera are very important. But
Oh
it's kind of
gosh,
like one of
yeah.
those things you have to. Because people wonder why actors get paid so much. I mean, that's why, right? You don't have a film or like a video game or something if you don't have people to play characters, right? So
True.
anyways, another debate entirely, but yeah, it's just something I kind of always thought of.
Yeah, I think like from the article they mentioned that so one of the things that they're trying to get the companies to agree to is artificial intelligence protections around consent, control, transparency, and compensation. So that's one of the big things that I heard after the strike happened for the writers. They the companies started threatening to just use AI instead.
Yeah,
But the truth of the matter is like AI is pretty good. I've used it. It's pretty good, but the problem is like sometimes you can't get certain types of humor.
yeah,
You need actual humans to do that.
right.
It's
Yeah,
kind of
there's
like it's an art
yeah,
style, really.
right. I mean, there's certain creativity that comes out of like human, thinking, right?
Yeah.
That like, especially
Yeah.
artificial intelligence is nowhere close to mimicking. So,
Yeah.
so
So
yeah,
that's I think this is coming to the gaming space because of it's going to be way more prevalent for artificial intelligence to be in the gaming space than it would be for like film and industry and
right,
TV and stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Um,
I mean,
just because of the nature of what it is. It's like
right,
you're working on
yeah,
a computer. Where's the computer have on it? Oh, the AI. It lives in the computers.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, we've covered some stuff about how like developers are looking into artificial intelligence like suites, right?
Oh
And they're
yeah.
looking to develop ways to kind of cut down on some of the more ancillary tasks. especially in the
Yes.
art aspect of games, right?
Yes.
So I mean, it's one of those things, I think it's and there's a weird debate that could be had there, right? Of like, oh, you're probably getting rid of jobs if you do this, but also is like this is so like kind of remedial in a lot of this, like, and it's so kind of mind numbing that it probably would be better if AI kind of was
100%.
stepping into
Yes.
some of this stuff because it gives more
It,
time for creativity, right?
yeah, AI should be a tool, not a replacement. Them like
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's just what's gonna keep happening. Is like as technology progresses, we need to keep using it. Otherwise, you get left behind. Just that's
yeah,
just how innovation works.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, it's good. I don't know if I heard like a coworker say this or heard somebody say this, but it was kind of like the idea is that the better you get at learning how to use AI, it's gonna be more beneficial in the future towards like your personal growth, but also like if you're trying to like advance your career, if it's like in
yeah,
technology anyway. Like
definitely.
if you can understand AI and learn how to use it, you're gonna have an edge without a doubt. So, um, it's still beneficial, I think, to kind of learn about AI and learn about the technologies and let's see what can be done with it because I think humans could to a certain extent will be able to kind of grow with it and kind of use it to our advantage. So it's you know it gets crazy, right? Because you get into like aspects of like language and it learns its own language. It learns how to do stuff that you didn't know how to do. And then it takes over the world, and then it's Cyberdyne. Like it gets crazy. It escalates quickly. That's what
Terminator.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like so, but I don't know. I
I'm
mean,
gonna watch Terminator later this weekend.
oh man. I mean, I don't know. Speaking of AI, I feel like we should just get into the next topic 'cause it's kind
That
of related to that,
that's
right?
exactly what I was gonna say. Is like this would be the perfect segue is to just jump into the next article. So the next article is from Game Developer. Have we? I think we covered Game Developer
Yeah,
before.
a few times.
It
Yeah.
could be, yeah. So this comes from Chris Carr, Chris Kerr. Um, could be pronounced both ways depending on where you're from. So Humble Games may restrict AI usage in future publishing contracts. And this quote is: "It will probably be part of the contractual process where developers have to state they are not using AI to pull data."
Ooh,
Hmm,
ooh.
interesting. So, unpacking and Stray Gods, publisher Humble Games is wary of the potential legal issues posed by developers who choose to leverage generational AI tools like ChatGPT during production. Speaking to game developer at Gamescom 2023, Humble EVP and General Manager, uh, isn't it Executive Vice President? I think
Yeah,
that's what that
that's
is.
probably it.
Yeah, Executive Vice President and General Manager Alan Patmore said the publisher is proactively setting up processes and procedures so it doesn't get into a situation where it encounters copyright issues and other legal challenges because of AI usage. Patmore explained the company hasn't received pitches where the use of AI has been an issue, but feels it's prudent to be proactive rather than reactive. That's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
I've used AI a couple of times and it's just straight up plagiarized stuff from the internet.
Literally.
So you gotta be careful. Yeah. Um, it will probably be part of the contractual process where developers have to state they are not using AI to pull data and create assets, said Patmore. Patmore continues, I think part of it is looking at how we evaluate the tool set developers are using so that we don't get into a situation where a tool has pulled data and all of a sudden there's a bunch of assets that a developer doesn't have the rights to use in their game. From a development perspective, it's about putting processes in place to prove ownership. That's actually a really good point. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
If you ask ChatGPT to write code for you and it rips code from a different game because it's connected to the internet and just finds code online. They're just like this, and they like study the internet to figure out what things work, and that's how they learned it. It's kind of like plagiarism because code is kind of just a language on how to work things.
Right.
It's not it's not like the law of thermodynamics where you can't change it or like physics or
Yeah.
anything in math, right?
Yeah.
So I think you can probably speak more to that than I could because I'm not a coder and I don't do anything in that level.
Yeah.
You're more of like that always got to keep learning technology field.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's true. I mean, especially in the world of software, there's typically, unless it's something really weird, there's always more than one way to do things, right? There's always more
Mhm.
than one way to solve a problem,
Exactly. Yeah.
kind of approach a problem. So, yeah, I could certainly say, I mean, yeah, but in the physical world, right? I mean, there's hard stuck like definites, right, and that you can't
100%.
alter. So um
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Gravity
a
is real.
yeah,
Like,
it's a yeah, it's I mean that's the thing about programming is it's not an exact science, I guess is the best way to say it. But
yeah.
there's definitely different ways to approach it. But yeah, I mean every language is like any other language, right? You gotta learn how it works, you gotta learn the syntax, you gotta learn it.
Yeah,
So
just keep going.
yeah.
So there's only a few more paragraphs in this article. Let's just go ahead and finish it up. So AI and ownership. Speaking more broadly about the use of AI in game development, Pat Moore drew a distinction between generative systems such as ChatGPT, which were trained using data yanked from the internet, leading to concerns over who owns the outputs they produce, and AI-powered tools baked into engines like Unreal Engine 5. That's actually pretty cool, to be
Yeah.
honest. I didn't know Unreal Engine 5 was using an AI, and you could probably do that for like auto-generated assets that have already been designed by a creator, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so Pat Moore goes on to say, I look at AI as we're in the Wild West days and figuring out what it can unlock. I think there's a lot of power from a content creation standpoint, but we're going to have to sort through the modality issues. Uh, that's a weird word I've
Yeah,
never
I
used
think it's
before.
right, but yeah.
Uh, yeah, he added, for Patmore, AI tools that enable unique content creation aren't a problem, but others that raise questions about ownership should be viewed with skepticism. During Gamescom, Patmore also outlined how Humble Games intends to expand into first party development and indicated that studio acquisitions might be on the cards. For more on that, be sure to read our. Okay, so that's just a plug for game developer. They got me. Chris Carr got me. Um, yeah, I think it's only natural that AI is going to be coming along and making jobs easier, which is really cool. And what we just mentioned in the last article about how it needs to be a tool,
Mhm.
that whole ripping things from the internet and then pushing out outputs, like, yeah, that could definitely be a copyright issue. I
Oh yeah.
wonder if you could just train ChatGPT or any other AI to understand copyright issues and having a clear definition of copyright so that they'll never do that themselves.
Yeah. Which ideally, right? Yeah, I mean, you should be able to. Like, you'd have the AI learn copyright law. kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
understand that.
like
Um,
theoretically, yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's certainly possible. So yeah, I mean, I think that would have to be something to consider if you're developing AI tools or you want to use AI of any sort. But yeah, it's gets interesting around like games and stuff though, right? Obviously, you want to avoid like plagiarism and copyright infringement. So it's a interesting challenge, but yeah, it's something that will have to be in consideration, especially if you're going to use any sort of AI. But yeah, I mean, I can respect Humble for kind of standing their ground here, just saying like until it's more kind of established and we can be certain that it's going to assist in creating original ideas and original content, then it's hard for us to kind of move forward with it right now.
True. Very true.
Mm,
Well, I have really nothing else to add because that was two articles back to back about AI, goods and bads about it.
very true. Be careful with AI. But if you're a Starfield lover,
Yeah.
uh,
Returning back to the original article or the original segment at the beginning
I know.
of the pod.
I know that's the thing. I gave
You already
my
gave your
perspective,
opinion.
right? Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think my review's kind of out there, um, but yeah, I mean, there were so many articles this week that I saw on Starfield. I feel like it's only right to include something. This was kind of this was an interesting idea, kind of looking into the future of Bethesda. Kind of
Yeah.
where they could probably take their studio next, because I mean, rightfully so, I think, and a lot of people were kind of like, there's probably some people that would scoff at the idea of like, why are we thinking about the future of Bethesda when this just came out and this is like their pride and joy for the last like 10 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, which is a fair point. But anyways, I pulled this article from IGN. And Ryan McCaffrey is the one that wrote
CMC.
this. I know, not related to Christian McCaffrey, I'm sure. But
RMC.
yeah, Starfield is the present and future of Bethesda Game Studios, at least for a little while. Fortunately, there's a whole universe out there to explore. After years of waiting, Starfield has finally arrived. Brian recently called it the most important launch of Xbox since at least Halo 5. I can agree with that. I have to say, Xbox hasn't been hit too hard with the releases, the original releases. So yeah, that's probably fair. And now it's here and on your Xbox console or PC, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. But being the previews, but Ryan being the previews lead at IGN, it's his job to live in the future and kind of see, looking ahead, what the next big thing is. And the next big thing for Bethesda Game Studios isn't Elder Scrolls 6, at least not for a while. The next big thing for Todd Howard and his team is still going to be Starfield. And I think he even mentioned that. Anyways, we'll get into the article, but I'm sure there's probably some stuff there. Naturally, the bulk of Bethesda Game Studios will move on to Elder Scrolls 6. In fact, we know that with Starfield shipped, the follow-up to Skyrim has completed pre-production and moved into full production. But for us, the players of Bethesda's expansive games, Starfield will remain our focus for quite a long time. And like a long time. And there's a couple reasons for that. And this is kind of where I had heard some stuff about this. And so when I saw this article, I was like, well, this would be a good thing to talk about. First, not only is Starfield a gigantic game by any metric, offering hundreds of hours of role-playing adventure, including a high degree of replayability in which you can make different choices both for your character and out in the universe, but it's also going to be supported by Bethesda for years, not months to come. BGS has walked the walk on that with their previous RPGs. We're going to get patches, content updates, DLC, and full-blown expansions for Starfield, further fleshing out and polishing worlds the team has built. And I also, just pause real quick, I did a little poll. They had a little poll on this article saying, where were you playing Starfield? I said PC, and out of 10,000 people, 81% are playing on PC, so pretty big sample size, and yeah, I think it makes sense. I feel like if you get this game, PC's the ideal platform. That's my opinion. And second, the fact that modern AAA games take a very, very long time to build. Despite the advancement in tools available to developers, project durations are, by and large, getting longer, not shorter. Sure, the Elder Scrolls 6 may have been announced back in 2018, but before a single line of code had been laid down, but it's going to take many years to get it done. Starfield took 8 years, and while Todd Howard told me back in June that he hopes Elder Scrolls 6 doesn't take that long, the most logical prediction is that it is going to be a 5-year dev cycle. That might mean Starfield is the only BGS release we get in the Series X generation. The
That's a crazy way to look at it.
It's right, because I was thinking about that too. Yeah. It's like with how long these cycles are. I mean, it's taking these big giant RPGs an entire console life cycle to make, right?
Never really thought about that way, but yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it's wild.
We talked about it before, how the scale of games is getting so large to the point where it's like taking like half a decade to make, right?
True.
And I mean, look, I'm all for good games, and if there's replay, and I think devs are gonna have to focus more on trying to create replayability, so they can last between these long dev cycles, right? It's kind of something you have to consider. I feel like more than ever with these games. The Elder Scrolls 6 is likely to target the next generation Xbox that's likely arriving around 2028 instead, perhaps even as a day one launch game, as Oblivion was intended to be for the 360 before it ended up shipping 4 months into the console's life cycle. And then, yeah, I mean, just that alone is like crazy to think about. It's like these games are so big now, taking forever to make, and it's getting between life cycles now. And I mean, think about Starfield. It's like I think I saw like metrics somewhere saying that there was like over 2 million downloads or something this past week of Starfield across Steam and Xbox, and then on top of that, peak player count at a time I think it was like in the 200,000s on just Steam alone. I'm pretty sure it's like it's crazy. The game,
it's insanely popular right now.
Yeah, it's very popular. And more, and I for one, I hope they release more content for Starfield. I think it'd be interesting to see. Does it necessarily need more content? I mean, I feel like I've only scratched the surface at 30 hours, so there's certainly more for me to play. But there's people that already have 100, 200 plus hours, so it's just kind of how it is. But it should be interesting to see, I think, kind of how they and I think Bethesda's going to stick with Starfield for maybe even until kind of Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. They're going to have rolling content and bug fixes and whatnot. So curious to see what this game will become. But I think a Starfield 2 sounds like it ain't going to happen for at least 15 years.
I was about to say, I was like, bro, it's going to take forever. Unless AI can do like half the work for them.
Yeah, I'm going to be in my 40s. It's gonna be lit. You understand, Mike?
Sheesh.
Oh, it's gonna be
Why you
lit.
bringing that? Why you bringing up age, bro?
I'm just saying, dude. I'm gonna be chilling, dude. I'm gonna be chilling in the nursing home playing Starfield 5. You understand? Like
Oh,
it's crazy.
that's a
In
fact,
a
dude. I can't
full
wait to play
blown
Halo 40.
immersive VR, dude. Giant room. And there's
Oh,
gonna
just
be
plug me
gaming
up like
rooms,
the
dude.
Matrix, dude.
I don't know.
Like
At that point, Neuralink's gonna be Neuralink 5. We're all
100%.
gonna be
100%.
just pew, pew,
Yeah, just
pew. It's gonna
won't
be
need any
crazy.
peripherals, just think, and it does it.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
Speaking of that, like with these game development cycles lasting 5 years, that's becoming more and more common. But one of the things that I haven't seen yet is like the hardware. We mentioned a couple times, but like the hardware has progressed so far. Like all the GPUs are pretty far ahead, all the CPUs are pretty far ahead that they can play pretty much anything. Like if you get the most like the brand new stuff right now, you can pretty much do 4K gaming now.
yeah.
And past that, there's not really much else. You know, it's like, yeah, you can do 8K, and then all of a sudden, it's like instead of getting monitors, you need to get LASIK because your eyes aren't good enough to look at the game. You know,
It's
um,
exceeding human
yeah,
features.
I think the hardware right now has already exceeded the capability of the devs to produce a game that can handle it.
Yeah.
We mentioned that a couple of times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I agree.
so I don't know where this really goes from here in terms of game development cycles. I think they're only going to get longer because you got to optimize the game to keep
Yeah.
up with the hardware, and that seems to be the bottleneck. You know?
Right. It does, man. It really does. It's I mean, we're at an interesting time for development, and what I think is nice though is we're finally starting to see kind of the upswing, in good games coming out, which is good. I think this is kind of like the start of that. Unreal Engine
Oh yeah.
5, who knows, where that'll end up going, kind of how that progress. Um, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna be an interesting couple of years. I mean, there was an article I pulled. I mean, we didn't use it for the show, but I pulled kind of. It was another one which we had covered. A similar topic months back, but it's essentially saying that 2023 was already like insane compared to like previous years in terms of
Oh,
releases.
easily. But
And
we've been waiting on that for a while now, right?
yeah, I mean,
Like we
yeah,
were talking about that during the lockdown about like all the games got pushed back, all
yeah,
the award like conventions, the conferences all got pushed back, and it seemed like every major release was getting pushed out by at least 6 months.
yeah,
So
yeah.
now they're all starting to come out. It's like one hit after another. It's
I
like, let's
know,
go, dude.
I
Every
know.
it's been straight fire since we got Elden Ring.
Yeah, I
It's
know,
been
for real.
just bop bop bop
Oh, dude, it's
constantly.
like, dude, like I was almost forgetting that Harry Potter came out this year, like Hogwarts
Yeah,
Legacy, like that
yeah.
that game
And that
that
was a
was out
hit
this year.
too.
It was
Yeah.
good, yeah. I mean, that was really good. Um, yeah, I mean that game was good. I mean, dude, Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, come on, like,
I'm
they
about
didn't
like
miss.
15 minutes into it and I'm like, this is amazing.
They didn't miss. That game's fantastic. Baldur's Gate 3, reportedly
Yeah,
fantastic. Arguably game of the year right there.
dude. And
And
there's so many coming out just this month alone that are gonna be dope.
so, dude,
That we're gonna get to pretty soon here.
I thought about it, Mike. And the more I think about it, the more I may actually do this. Dude, I'm probably gonna hate myself. But like, dude, I considering the new update for Cyberpunk, I might do a fresh run. I was like thinking about it. I was like,
A
dude,
fresh
dude,
run?
if these changes really are what they're saying, dude, it could be a
Dude,
different experience.
how are you gonna have time?
I don't know. That's all I'm
All
saying.
right,
I'm
we're
gonna hate
gonna
myself,
okay,
but
so officially announced we're postponing the pod. At the release of Cyberpunk later this month, we're just gonna turn everything off for about 2 weeks, and we'll be
dude,
back with a
yeah,
special.
yeah.
Gamescom will come around for Gamescom review, and that's it.
I know. It's like,
Not
dude,
really though.
because like, look, I enjoyed the game at launch, but it just wasn't what it could have been. And now with these updates and stuff, it's like the idea that it could be what they were, at least close to what they were looking for at launch, has me excited. So it's like,
Yep.
and I want to take different routes anyway. I might just build a new character and just go down that road and kind of see kind of how the systems have progressed over. I mean, because you got to think it's been almost what 3 years, like something like that, like into
Been a
2020.
while.
So
It's still really good, dude. And they're also putting out another update. I think it might have even came out already to fix that game.
yeah,
But
2.0.
we're getting distracted at this point. Do we
Look,
have anything else to add about Starfield? Because you talked about it earlier at the beginning of the pod.
ah, man, this thing. If you
But
made it, if you
your
made it this
personal
far,
review.
just go listen to it again if you really want to hear my thoughts. Because I don't know. I think it's a good game. I think it's a very, very solid Bethesda RPG, and I'm just glad it was good. And it's like I'm just like I played it, beat it, and now I'm just like I want to keep going, and I'm just happy that we have a solid Bethesda RPG that's different.
True.
I think the fact, I mean, they went new IPs, first IP in over 25 years, something like that. I mean, and I think they nailed it. So it's it's
I think
exciting to
that's a
see
fair
that.
assessment.
It's exciting to see that Bethesda still has it, and if they take their time and they kind of really go for it, that they can still make a great game. So it gets me
Yeah,
excited for the future. So
true. I want to add some final thoughts on it, and I think from a triple A developer perspective, and all the ones that we've had outside of Nintendo, because they pretty much don't miss anytime they launch a new game. I can't think of a triple A studio that's launched a game that's been this successful at launch. Like in a while,
yeah,
a while being like a couple of years now. I think most of them have been just total explosions, just trash.
I mean, yeah, most of them. I mean, yeah, I mean, at least it outside of Nintendo, because obviously the first thing like, oh, Zelda's pretty good, but like, well, that's Nintendo.
Yeah.
Um,
I think you would have to go to the PlayStation perspective. You have to go run their IPs.
yeah,
Like
for
God of
sure.
War Ragnarok was a total hit.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I still can't believe how polished I heard it was. I mean, I heard like most people just weren't even like hardly experiencing bugs at all because they just had
Yeah.
that universe locked down. So it's like, yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, a lot of those assets probably recycled, but I mean, that's still fine. I mean, you're making a good game. Um, so I mean, there's that. I'm curious to see Spider-Man 2 because that comes out in what, a month.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how that's gonna
Yeah.
do. I'm excited for PlayStation fans on that one because I think that'll be a good solid release. And that's something, I might just have to wait for the PC release, or maybe if PS5 Pro comes out, I may consider. But it's I feel like it's getting harder and harder for me to like want a PS5. So
Yeah, they keep coming out. They're gonna just come out on PlayStation or PC later.
right,
There are a couple of games that, if we're done talking about Starfield, we can go ahead and move into video game releases.
I think let's do it, dude. We got a lot coming out this month.
Yes, we do. I'm only gonna hit. I think I'm like 12 is on my list right now.
Yeah.
So there's the usual thing that we do try to do at the beginning of every month is just to do the games that are releasing this month, give people that refresher to check out. So this is going to go from the beginning of the month to the end of the month, and there's some heavy hitters in here that are pretty sick. So starting off with Bomb Rush Cyber Funk. It's on PS4, 5, Xbox One, XS. I think if I remember correctly, it's like an indie dev release. That came out September 1st. Uh, Baldur's Gate 3, big heavy hitter. That came out on PC in August 3rd. So it's finally coming to PlayStation 5. So for all the people that are on the PlayStation 5 that you just talk trash about, not them, but the PlayStation 5, uh, that's available. By the time you listen to this, it's all right now. Same goes for Starfield. That is not on the PlayStation. That's only Xbox X and S and PC Game Pass. Go check it out. Some sports coming. Two different sports games. You got NBA 2K24. That's September 8th. That's on pretty much every platform you can think of. PlayStation 4, Xbox, PlayStation 5, Switch, PC, whatever. The other sport game, about the same exact situation on all platforms except for the Switch this time, is the Crew Motorfest, kind of like Forza Horizon. If you're into those games, go check it out. September 14th. Another heavy hitter that we haven't really mentioned in a while. We got like 3 in a row here. Okay, maybe shoot 4 now that I'm looking at my list. You got Liza P, which is a Pinocchio game. That is PC, PS4, Xbox One, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, September 19th. The same day, you have Mortal Kombat 1 on the same platforms except for no Xbox One and no PS4, so the new gen games. But it is on a Switch. That's September 19th. Then you
Baby.
got Witchfire, dude. That's on PC. That's September 20th. And then an oldie but a goodie, right? Payday 3.
Oh,
PC,
dude.
PS5, Xbox Series X and S. That's September 21st. And then what we were just talking about, dude, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty DLC. That's PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, September 26th. Another one on September 26th is Harvest Moon, The Winds of Anthos. That's PC, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, PS5, Switch, September 26th. Harvest Moon, if I remember correctly, we were excited about that one, weren't we? I think we saw a couple of trailers.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
I
think
gotta
so.
actually. I might have to search that one real
Yeah,
quick.
I wish I would have added that to like my list, my wish
I
list.
can't remember. There was something about it where I was like, this doesn't look half bad.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like a kid game, to be honest. Maybe
Yeah.
that's why I remember it. Oh yeah. It basically it it looks like a Harvest Moon game. Like
Like
that's
the
like an
original.
everyone kind of game.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically a 3D version Harvest Moon, top down, like third person point of view. Then you got to finish it off is the new EA Sports Football Club game coming out 2024, all platforms, and that is September 29th to close out everything. That's going to be interesting. We'll see how that actually plays out with FIFA and how it's not a FIFA game
I
anymore, but it is
know.
a FIFA game. So
Oh, that's weird.
yeah, man. But that's all I got for the list. Those are the heavy hitters, and I feel like this has been the first month in a while where we've had so many at once.
Yeah, dude, it's the start of fall. Like,
Yep, here it
start of that
comes.
video game season, man.
Yes, sir.
Oh man. Leagues are changing, games are coming out, sport ball's
Yep.
happening, it's crazy, man.
Sports ball. It's gonna be sick.
It's
We're so
crazy
ready.
stuff.
Wearing our jerseys, bro. Good to go.
So ready, baby. So ready.
Yes, sir, dude.
As I'm sure people
Speaking,
listening are,
yeah, maybe. Who
ready
knows?
to
Probably
get
just
out.
waiting for the new what the COD League to start back up, and
Yeah.
HCS to have Worlds soon, and Valorant I think has a tournament coming up. CS:GO, CS2, bro, is coming out. I think it might actually be out. Uh,
I have
maybe
no
I don't
idea.
know.
I'll be
I
honest. 'Cause it was supposed to come out in the
really
summer
gotta check
and
that out.
you know,
Yeah, it's been looking good though, man. Been looking good.
yeah, for sure.
But that's all I got, man.
That's all I got too, dude. That's all I got to report to people. It's almost an hour and a half, dude.
It is. It is. We got a little bit distracted on the Starfield stuff
Yeah, just a
and,
little.
and the handhelds, but that's okay. We've been ranting. That's why we have timestamps in the description for anybody that makes it to the end. We also have links in the description. You can go check those out. We also like the original links, the ones that you cover, the one that you see on Spotify or YouTube. Shout out to those guys. Like, subscribe, do the whole thing. You guys know what to do. And check out social media, maybe Twitter. We got a Discord. Come in there, yell at us, whatever you want.
Do it. Yell me.
Yeah.
Punch me.
Did I forget anything else? I think we just hit all the usuals.
Yeah, no, I think it's it, dude. I think it
All
does
right.
it.
All right, sick, man. Let's let them go. This has been the M2 podcast. This is episode 35. We've been hitting every week consistently for 35 weeks. Somehow we've been doing it. We appreciate you guys for listening. Appreciate you for subscribing, liking, being interactive. It's really sick. But without further ado, I'm Michael Ante, Kyle Heath. We're going to let you go. Have a good one. Peace out.
Peace.